Hello fellow self-publishers, my name is Bethany Stahl and I am a full-time author and illustrator. And today's video is going to be a Q&A specifically about illustrating. So this whole Q&A is about all things illustration. So whether you're illustrating yourself or finding an illustrator. I think this is the #1 question I get asked the most from you guys. So instead of answering it in little bits of sections throughout a lot of Q&A videos, I figured just one dedicated to illustration and what that's like for you if you are illustrating or if you're not illustrating, just sharing all those little things with you. So I'm really excited because illustration is my favorite part about children's books. They bring your story to life and really help marry the words to paint this overall picture of your story. And I literally have goosebumps right now talking about illustrations. Like, that's how magical they are to me. They just are the best part of children's books. So one of the main things I get asked is, what am I using to create my illustrations? So I brought it in today's video. Instead of telling you it's a Wacom, I am showing you. This is my Wacom CTL 4100, and this is my stylus, and this is my best friend in the entire world. We've been best friends for a few years now, and we hang out every single day. But honestly, this Wacom is great because what you do is this pen goes on this pad, and as I do this, it will show up on my computer. Now there's a USB that plugs in. It's not wireless, so you do have to be within the range of your computer, but when I draw on here, it shows on my computer screen. I really like this because my computer screen is very high quality and it is true color. That way, when I draw on here, I can see the exact color of what is going to print when I publish. There are other Wacoms, such as the Cintiqs, not the Pro version, just the Cintiqs, that show it on the screen as you draw. It is not true color, and it's incredibly deceiving because the colors that you pick on that device are not actually how they're going to appear when you print. And I did buy a Cintiq, and I absolutely hated it, and I returned it and went back to using my good old best friend, and I'm happy with it. This is really portable. When I don't feel like working in my office, I will go travel around and work on this, whether I'm on vacation and I want to illustrate while I'm inspired, I can bring this, or if I just feel like working from random places, I can bring this, and it's really nice. Also, if you do not know this and you have a Wacom, this actually screws off the back, and you have extra nibs in here. Nibs are what you draw with, and nibs wear down over time. And this little hole in the top, you actually just plug in here, bend it downwards, and that's how you take out your nib to replace it. Don't use your teeth. So like bite down and pull it out. There is a little tool here for you to use. I didn't know how to get it out first, so that's how I always got mine out, until I realized that there was a little hole here just for that. So yeah, this is my favorite tool for illustrating. Now, in terms of my process of when I'm illustrating and how I approach new scenes is I will either lay out the page on Photoshop, or I will draw the size of the page on a sheet of paper and start sketching my characters. And I will try a bunch of different poses to try and be something engaging and exciting. And I always make sure I keep emphasizing their expressions. That way they help tell the story. So your illustrations should help your story. They should not take away from. So you definitely want them to help tell a little bit more. So if your words say, oh, you know, Frank is sad, you want to make sure you show him with a big frown to help convey your message. So illustrations are highly important in that way. So once I start drawing, I will either sketch in Photoshop, or when I very first started from turning from traditional to digital, I would sketch on paper and then I would put it into Photoshop. So this is one of my sketchbooks. This is one of my first concepts for Frank, who's over here, because I was trying to figure out what kind of shape I wanted Frank to have. And this little sketchbook, you can see I lay out different pages, and I will sketch some inspirations in here. So that's dreaming in the night. So you can see here's some Save the Bees, and this is me working out Clover's shape and form from the bottom, and just really starting to try and lay out a few pages and get to know my characters. So this is Save the Arctic, and then more Save the Arctic. So this sketch here, I will show you the illustration process of this down in the bottom of the screen, because I actually filmed the entire process of this. So sometimes if I'm doing a lot of fine details or I'm really trying to play with the shape of a character, I will draw it first. That way I can really just be messy with it, be loose, and play with a bunch of different shapes and forms, because that's what makes a character interesting, is how are they shaped? Are they an interesting shape? Are they a weird shape? Is there something drawing away? At first I had Frank with a curved nose, and then his shape wasn't as exciting as he was with a perfectly straight nose. And I will look at a bunch of real life sharks. So Frank's based off of a tiger shark. And I will look at real life pictures to see what is their coloring, how are they shaped, and really use that to help guide me. And then I will take whatever stands out to me with the animals in real life and exaggerate them as I cartoon them. Once I have that sketch, I will start to trace over it and then form my outlines. And then from there, I will start to color in my shapes. And then once I color in my shapes all with a base color, that's when I'll go back in. And then I'll start shading, so cheek colors or shadows under your face. I will go back and start adding all of those exciting things. So for example, in Save the Sharks, Frank is really big, and using his shape to help direct the readers is something I always really focus on in my illustrations. A lot of you ask, well, how do I even lay it out? And Frank's body here, once you finish reading the words, your eye falls to the tip of his tail, and you follow his curve straight to Kalicia's face. And then this is where we see, oh no, they're sad. No. So I like to use shape to really help draw in the reader's attention and spread out throughout my spreads different shapes on each page. And Frank, since he had such a football to straight shaped head, he was really easy to use as a pointer to point the reader to what to look at. So here we're looking at Liam, and here we're following up to the words, and then we're looking at Liam and Grandpa. And just trying to use a form of shape to help keep the pages all interesting. So again, we're moving through here and all these waves of space. And I love to put little Easter eggs in my books. This is something I really like to do in my illustrations. So here I snuck Amari, and I actually illustrated myself in this book too. So that's me. So I really like to do things like that. And there's also something else hidden on this page. So if you guys buy Save the Sharks and you see the secret on this page, tell me what it is, and I'll give you a thumbs up. Yeah, but there is something hidden on this page. So I'm excited if anybody will point that out. You guys are really good about finding little things in my illustrations and telling me that you found them. So I hide stuff in there all the time for you guys. Now, if you aren't doing your own illustrations and you decide to hire an illustrator, that's totally okay. The only reason I actually do my own illustrations is because I had a little bit of a background in art prior to becoming an author. I loved art, and that was my main career and what I did with my time. So when I transitioned into becoming an author, I carried my drawing ability with me into this. Now, I am a self-taught artist, and I have not taken courses or anything like that on it. So it is entirely possible, if you're watching this video right now and you have no art ability at this moment, that you can absolutely learn how to be an artist. It is a skill that you can gain. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time. But I also started from nothing, and now I illustrate all my own books. So it is entirely possible. But if you do not have the want or if you do not have the ability that you are comfortable with having the quality of an illustrated book, if you're still in the learning process, yeah, hire an illustrator. One of my favorite places to find an illustrator is the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, which is scbwi.org. That is my favorite place to find illustrators. On there you can browse illustrators by location if that's something that you are concerned with. You can also see all of their portfolios, and these illustrators are the tip-top professionals in the field. They are paying to be a part of the Society of Children's Book Writer and Illustrators, which means they do take their career seriously. I know there are so many YouTube videos and so many people who buy illustrations off of sites like Fiverr or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to be a little bit careful, because if you are in any of the children's book communities, there is a lot of issues with copyright infringement happening, or a lot of illustrators using clip art to put images together. And a lot of the cheaper illustrators, you will find that as a problem. So just make sure you see what other books they've illustrated and you are fully confident with their style. You can even pay for a test page. So, hey, here's whatever their fee is. Can you draw me some characters to see if I like your style? Or just browse their portfolio, and if you see a consistent style that you really do enjoy, then you can hire them. A question I get asked on this daily is, do I illustrate for others? And right now I am not. I have in the past, but since I am so busy with writing my own books and illustrating my own books at this time, I am just doing it for my own books. But I appreciate the compliment. I wish I could illustrate all of your books. That would be awesome. So how much should you expect to spend with an illustrator? It varies greatly. So this is going to vary based off of how well known the illustrator is, what's their skill level, and also what level of illustrations you would want. If you're doing basic outlines like where the sidewalk ends, those illustrations are going to take significantly less time than if you are doing full color, full spreads, big detail illustrations. So those prices are going to vary. Don't be afraid to pay for good illustrations, because that is the first impression of your book. People are going to see your cover first and then fall in love with your story after. So your title and your illustrator's illustrations are going to be what initially sells the book. And you really want somebody to click on your book to see what it's about. So the biggest mistake I see with indie authors is taking the cheap route and going with somebody who is really affordable, or somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience, and destroying their book that is beautifully written and just has horrible illustrations, and nobody's going to want to buy it because the illustrations are a turnoff. And that is just the saddest thing I've seen happen. I cannot tell you how many times I have genuinely cried reading children's books because of how beautifully they're written, and the illustrations are just absolute garbage. And it just is such a disservice, because there's books that could be bestsellers beyond bestsellers, like the new classic book of how beautifully they're written. And the author never gets the chance to take the book where they want it to go because of the illustrations. So I beg you, whether you're illustrating yourself or hiring someone, to really push out your best work and hire the best person. So prices can range for a full 28-page, 32-page children's book from, I would say, on the very, very, very low end, a few thousand. So, you know, 2,000 to 5,000, depending on how detailed you're going to go, and of course the artist, to up to, you know, I've seen people pay, you know, 20,000, 30,000 for just their illustrations. So it's a very big range, but this is also dependent on what you plan to sell. It is an investment. Your children's book will make it back if you put in your advertising, if you have the good illustrations, if you do this, you know, so it's an investment, and that's something you have to consider. How much do you realistically think you're going to make off of your book? How much do you realistically think you're going to profit after you pay all these people? And that is going to determine what your price range is. But I highly encourage you to seek someone with experience, and don't be afraid to pay a little bit of money for your illustrations at all, because that, again, I can't stress it enough, that is what's going to initially sell your book. And I know authors always kind of get a little bit hurt when I say that, but it is the first impression. So people do judge a book by its cover, especially children's books. So you do have to make that initial impression, and then it's going to be your words and your story which keeps them reading the book over and over and over again and keeps them buying all of your work. So I hope this video has helped explain a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed watching the time lapse in the corner as I've talked, and please let me know if you have any other questions. If you visit bethanystahl.com/classes and you are a member of my self-pub Patreon page at patreon.com/BethanyStahl, you do have access to one of my illustration courses, and I am working on adding more. So I am teaching how I illustrate in my process, but you guys can learn it everywhere. I do encourage you to watch other illustrators work and how they approach their drawings, and there are also a ton of other illustrators that offer a ton of different free and paid classes, just like I do. So I do encourage you to go out, again, just like the author advice, take as much in as you can, gather it all up, and then take the best advice from everyone, form that into your little golden package of information, and then run with that. So I hope this video has helped. If it has, please subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Happy publishing and happy illustrating. Go over and check out bethanystahl.com/classes. Here is my beautiful creation of all the information I have provided so far, organized into different sections so you can follow along, or if you're looking for help in one specific area, you can access all the resources I have built so far on each area, and I am building up my resources every week for you guys, so I am trying to build a really helpful helping hand for all of you. A lot of it is free, and some of it is exclusive for my self-pub Patreon members, which is the best way to get in contact with me if you have any additional questions or need additional help. So if you are really trying to get into contact with me, Patreon would be the best way. Good luck and happy publishing.